Welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast. What a week it has been. There has been cheers, there's been tears. Speaking of tears, that's me going as well now. It's just thinking about Tyler Lockett. There's been trade requests at a very inconvenient and inconsiderate time. We are going to spend this pod today reacting to all that and looking at how it's going to affect our cap going forward and what this squad may look like. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with you after this. There we are. We're back. I've managed to dry my tears just about. It might happen again. How beautiful is it being live? Thank you to everyone for joining us on. It's really early on. We really appreciate it. By all means, if you want to like and share this, that's absolutely fantastic. We really appreciate you all. I'm holding back tears and I have no idea where they've come from. It's just a beautiful moment. But yeah, thank you very much. Feel free to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Find us on YouTube. We are live right now, but you can also find us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all those other good things. We are also on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky. Oh my God, we are social media hoes. I blame you, Mitch. You're the mastermind behind it all. Me. Yeah, how are you doing anyway?
Yeah, really good. Enjoying my new job, new challenges. This week it seems to have gone from crawling to 100 mile an hour very quickly, hasn't it? With all the things we're going to talk about in due course. I don't want to talk too much about it, but yeah, it's been an eventful week. Excitement and disappointment and emotion with all the news, but we'll go through all of that together with our Discord following and
live members of the chat
tonight.
Yeah, we'll be obviously with us being a community pod. If you guys do have anything you want to say, by all means, Mitch will be popping those up for us to discuss as well. So any questions, any comments you've got, any odes to now ex-players, by all means, you can put them up there. I don't know where to start with this because I'm still a bit shell-shocked, if I'm honest. Should we start with the first raft of releases?
I'm happy with whatever you want to do, my friend.
Let's start on a happy note, because this was announced just after you'd sent me your lovely bit of spreadsheet mastery about the cap, and it's thrown all those figures out. So Josh Jobe has now re-signed with the Seahawks. I'm yet to find out what the contract length is and what the pay is, like what the salary is. So if anyone in the chat knows, please let us know. I'm actually quite excited about that. I quite like seeing Jobe at cornerback last year. I think he's got quite a good, quite high ceiling with the right coaching.
Yeah, you need reliable squad players, right? And I think when you look at our corners last year, especially the perimeter, the guys playing the perimeter, we saw a very mixed bag, and we saw a bit of fall off from Tariq. And as long as you're putting Weatherspoon wherever you think he can make plays, there are going to be positions on the perimeter opening up for people to fill. So Jobe will see game time, even if he's CB4 or CB3 on this roster. For our sake, I hope he's CB4, and that's not a knock on him. It's just I'd rather see him elevated to CB3 on game day because of an injury rather than him be relied upon as a starter on this roster. I'm still hoping we'll pick up an experienced CB, maybe on like a rental sort of contract. And also on the subject to contracts, I hope Jobe's deal is like a prove it sort of vet minimum $3 million deal. Anything more than that,
prove to us that you're worthy of a CB2, CB3 spot. Yeah, I'm all about that. But again, I think it's from a player that was practice squad, and then we brought him over from the Eagles, and he shone at various points through the season. I like his physicality. Still yet to be convinced by his athleticism with his sort of closing speed. I mean, we know he's got it, but against elite wide receivers, who knows? But that's yet to be seen, and we're going to get to see more of it now. But that is very much unlike the next lot of players we're going to be discussing.
Yes.
So let's have a hooray or for the people who release. So let's start off with the big boys. George Fant. I can't even go hooray or I go, man, didn't even see him last year. He was injured.
I'm neither a hooray or a sigh of sadness. I'm somewhere in the middle because he is someone who has a history with our franchise. It was great to see him come back. The situation was ideal because we knew we were going to be without our starting right tackle for the beginning of the season. The problem that we had with Fant was we needed someone to come in and be reliable, both with a level of performance that was acceptable, didn't have to set the world alight, but also had to be available until Abe Lucas came back. Newsflash for anyone who didn't watch our season, I'm sure we all did. He was not that. He was, and we paid money. We paid out some money for him. So I think you can't expect his fitness to be much improved on last year with the age he's at. So it makes sense. But yeah.
Injuries don't get better with age. Your recovery time does not increase. I can tell you that now as a 40-year-old man still suffering from multiple injuries from a contact sport. So George Fant, brought in as a reliable swing tackle, was unreliable, and we've cut him. We'll go through all the figures at the end. Mitch has done a lovely little presentation. We've then got the one that was hot on everyone's lips as a massive cut candidate, Draymond Jones. Hooray! I think I've been quite vocal about this throughout the whole season, and he was not worth the money we paid him. We expected to have this game-changing interior, exterior, D lineman who could do everything, and he did nothing. Even when he had a good game, I still didn't rate him. And for the cap saving that we're making, I'm kind of glad to see the back of it. I will take any bit of dead cap because it's better than having him on there, like eating up the full amount.
Yeah, for me, when you pay someone that amount of money, people might disagree with this, and feel free to tell me all about how much you dislike my take in the comments. But when we pay that amount of money on a 3-year deal to someone like that, I want to see the money go to a specialist. I want to see an experienced corner that we know can lock down one side for 3 seasons. I want to see a defensive tackle that's been productive for their career to date, or is an upward trend, like Leonard Williams. When we
you want to see an edge rusher getting 10 plus sacks a year.
Yeah, what I don't want to see is someone who can play 3 different positions, play a different position every time, every year of their contract, and be moved around like as a versatile chess piece, not really ever specializing at anything for us. That makes that player look like a luxury in the roster, and our roster has our cap has not been in a healthy enough state for the last 3 years to facilitate a player that is not impactful on that cap number. That's where I'm at, and I think that's not a knock on his production, because I think his lack of production was partly due to how we used him. As soon as you change someone's weight, get them to lose weight and play a different position, that for me is almost always a journey to mediocrity. I think it's just not a recipe for success. I'd have been surprised if it had worked as well as they'd hoped. But I do think that that points to a real need at edge rusher in the draft, because we put him there, and then we lost Darrell Taylor, and we went out and picked up the lad from Jacksonville. I can never remember.
Gibson,
yeah, Travis Gibson. We went out and filled a spot there. So without Draymond Jones and without Gibson there, I think the roster demands we pick up an edge rusher, unless Jamie Sheriff sees some rotational use. odd game days. We need to get an edge rusher and potentially a big end as well. And there's a lot of good ones in this draft. So Draymond Jones has left behind the position he most recently played and also had no effect in. Surprise.
Yeah. So jack of all trades, master of none. There are certain jobs that you can do that in. So if you're a general builder, you become invaluable with all the multifaceted skills. If you're a professional sportsman, not so much, because you want to have a point of difference. And I don't think in a single snap in a Seahawks jersey I saw Draymond's point of difference. There was nothing I can look at and go, he excels at that. That is what we need to get him to do more. That is his speciality, because you saw some good, run stuffing. You saw a couple of times when he got through to the quarterback, but apart from that, it was all very So yeah, Draymond's gone. And then we had another 1 year rental from the Jacksonville Jaguars in Roy Robertson Harris.
Yep.
Who
serviceable. He did fine.
Yeah, did all right. Can't complain. Nothing to write home about. I just think it was one of those when you look at sort of cutting the fat off your roster, you're going to say, look, again, not a world beater, not a specialist, but does a job. And then there's two more. I'm going to go through one, and then we'll have a quick break just to talk about our friends at UK Seahawkers, the Robin Cancer Trust, and then we'll talk about the big one. So Rayshon Jenkins was brought in to be this safety alongside Julian Love, and he got injured, lost his place to Kobe Bryant, and did not regain it. Showed no signs of regaining it.
That's the best reason for us to see someone cut, though. If you're cutting a veteran that you're paying because someone on a rookie deal has broken through and really made it on the roster and had an impact, that's a great reason to be able to trim the fat. Yeah,
agreed. What we'll do very quickly, we'll just go through some of your comments that are coming in live. So thank you very much to everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you want to like and share this, that helps the channel massively. We're just looking to grow this community, and also join the Discord. I know the master of the Discord, Mitch. Oh, look, I'm on the different side of the screen. I'm getting the point right as well, Mitch.
Yes, you keep it this way. You're on a roll.
That's it. He'll be putting the Discord link up in there as well. It's also the pinned post in our X. So first off, Jonas, guten Abend, mein Freund. Is Mitch wearing the JSN jersey some kind of message? We'll address that later on.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a sign that I picked the right wide receiver to the jersey to buy.
This is the reason I do not personally buy active player jerseys, because every time I bought one, they end up retiring or being traded. I have a Bobby Wagner throwback jersey that my wife bought me. He bought his B-Wag, so I can let that go. My friend bought me a action green DK Metcalf jersey. Point proven. And all the rest are just 12, because you can never go wrong with that. All right, so there you go, Jonas. We'll discuss the JSN thing in a bit. And who else did we have? We have Peter Jakubison. Welcome in, Peter. Does Roy Robertson Harris come back on a vet minimum?
No. And I'll tell you why. That
was a quick answer, Mitch.
I saw this and I was like, I know the answer. I've got it. Because Jaron Reed needs to be back. And you might say the response to that is, well, they were both on the same roster last year, and we've lost Draymond Jones as well, who was doing similar things. Well, this year's draft class is full of versatile defensive ends that can play 3-tech, can play big end. It's also full of really good D tackles that could have an immediate impact on your roster. And I also think that there will be some level of focus on getting a running partner for the long term to go with Murphy, to sort of add value to last year's pick. So a nose tackle that means we can move Murphy around a bit more is probably going to be very high on the list. So if we see Roy Robinson Harris come back, it'll be on something with very low guarantees, maybe to come through training camp, see who we, or see who we draft. Maybe he doesn't make it through training camp. If we do see him back, I think it'll be on those terms personally. But Jaron Reed has to be returning. We've lost leaders this offseason already, potentially 2, but we'll talk about that later. I do think that having people who bleed blue and green with veteran experience coming back is far more important to our roster right now.
You got Richards come in and said Jaron Reed's locker room presence was there for all to see. Mike even commented on his impact in that sense. I love Jay Reed. I would have him back as that steadying veteran presence. Whether he gets the majority of the snaps or not, he can play anywhere along that line, and I think he's effective. Plus, he loves being in Seattle, and this is something obviously we'll address with the DK trade talks. But yeah, right. So very quickly, I'd just like to remind everyone that we are the UK Seahawks official podcast. We're very proud to be the UK Seahawks official podcast. If you want to become a UK Seahawk, you can join for £12 a year for an individual membership, £20 for a family of up to 4. If you are outside of the UK, it's £5 postage for the goodies per person. You get access to social meets, more of which I'll talk about in a second. You get 10% discount at the pro shop. You get access to, you can be eligible for game day field passes. There's plenty of stuff. Last year, we got our lovely throwback patches, wristbands, membership card, and RFD card. This year, I can't wait to see what we get. And our national meetup, Glasgow, 3rd of May. Mitch and I will be there. I have booked my flights because I'm going to be posh and I don't want to spend 8 hours on a train. Plus, it's more expensive to get the train than the plane. What happened to the world? And I've got my hotel booked. So we'll be there Friday through till Sunday. Looking forward to meeting everyone. A couple of beers and maybe a curry on Friday, and then the meet up on the Saturday.
Oof, so dirty.
Hey, look, that's a great weekend. That is. So if you want to join the UK Seahawkers, you can then come to this. It's £5 per person for the meetup. You can meet us and all the other fantastic UK Seahawkers. It'll be a great time. And Seahawker months back, check your inboxes for your email from your chapter president to cast your votes. They'll be collating them all to send them in to the big kahunas on top. Head council, I think is what the way it is. And we are very proud to support the Robin Cancer Trust. Toby, the chairman of the Robin Cancer Trust, is doing a big ballsy challenge where his goal is to run 500 kilometres dressed as a ball bag. Mad respect for anyone running 500 kilometres, but dressed as a pair of balls. Fair play. If you see Toby running around, by all means, go and say hello, offer him a drink. Feel free to stroke his costume.
Ball bag.
No, I'm not advocating that.
Careful.
His costume. But the whole point of that is to raise awareness and £240,000 to go towards life-saving research and awareness campaigns for germ cell, testicular and ovarian cancer. You can find them on their website, which will be in the description below us here. But shall we get into the really, really sad part of this pod?
Yeah. the pause. I was thinking, is he going to say something other than the obvious one, just to throw a spanner in?
If I say it live on air, it's like it's really happened, and everyone then has to share in my misery, and I've got to share in everyone else's that's joining us. If you want to share us whilst we're live, by all means, everyone else can join in our misery. We will take your comments to tell us how much you love Tyler Lockett. He's gone. 10 years as a Johan, you are right. Johan, I say you're right. I am about to cry again. 10 years as a Seahawk, an absolute Seahawk legend within the team, the community. He's given us some fantastic sort of just memories. The toe tap for me. I designed a T-shirt regarding that whole thing. He's just had some amazing clutch clutch receptions as a wide receiver. I can't even get my words out. Mitch, take over. I'm distraught. This was like when Doug Baldwin retired.
I'm really pleased for him, because I'm not playing. It's never good for someone to be cut, but he's finishing his tenure with the Seahawks with a nice send off, and it's not like an injury ending his career, or he's gone start to finish. I know he hasn't retired. There may still be a 1 year in Las Vegas, or insert name of franchise that could do with a 1 year rental on Tyler Lockett, but he's done us absolutely proud every time he put the jersey on. Never had any blotch on his record, discipline wise, the way he's carried himself. Contract negotiations, we almost never heard about them because he just carried himself in such a professional way. He has epitomized everything that you could ever hope for from someone you drafted. So I'm not going to get sad. I'm going to doff my cap to Mr. Lockett and just say a massive thank you for being an absolutely amazing ambassador for our club for all this time. Not going to get sad.
All right, Mr. Sensible. It was me trying to be all emotional. But you know what? I don't need to be emotional because our viewers have written some lovely messages. So Jonas has put in their favourite Tyler moment: toe drag TD versus the Rams, or the punt return TD as a rookie versus the Bears. The first ever touch of an NFL football, taking it, was it 60 yards to the house? Can't really beat that, can you? I rewatched that again today. I was literally on my lunch break just going through these the videos of Tyler Lockett, weeping to myself in a corner, curled up. No, I'm not that sad, right? It'd be the punt return. Anyone that can do that on their first touch of the ball in the NFL, special talent straight away. Mitch, what was your favourite?
Yeah, it's the punt return for me as well, for a funny reason. When I first got into watching the NFL and became a Seahawks fan, I tried to drag my best mate along with me. He didn't make it, sadly. However, we watched the draft together, or parts of the draft together, before him starting to watch his first season as a Seahawks fan. And we watched Tyler Lockett get drafted. We went and did our research on who he was, where he was from, how saw some college highlights and whatever. And that preseason, he immediately lit it up. He was brilliant in preseason. There was that touchdown from the punt return. He immediately exploded onto the scene, and it was fun for my friend who I was explaining what the draft is and everything, to just immediately see that impact from a player that we'd done that research on and stuff. It was so cool to for him to just immediately light it up from day one. So that always sticks in my mind because that sort of that experience I had. So he was a big part of my initial sort of. Yeah.
You've also just admitted that you were a draft nerd from the start as well. So
yeah, true.
Fair play to you, sir.
Guilty.
Guilty. Right, and then Gary has come in. I'm just going to do this here. Tyler is one of the top 3 Seahawk receivers of all time. Largent is 1, then Baldwin or Tyler as 2, 3. Great servant to the club and a classy guy. Could not agree more. And I think your 1, 2, 3 there are spot on. That 2 and 3 spot for me is so close. I love Doug Baldwin. He's one of my favourite wide receivers of all time, purely just due to the basketball footwork that he used to introduce into sort of breaking out of his routes. And when he was angry, he was on. But Tyler was the complete reverse. Never really saw him get angry or heated, just really calm, placated. Can see where they made him a captain. Wouldn't have been my choice as a coach, but completely see it. Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3 for me. If anyone's got anyone else that they want to put in there, by all means, let us know, because I'd be intrigued to see everyone else's 1, 2, 3. And then we've got Richard. Tyler's a Seahawks legend. The way he conducts himself on and off the field should be studied by anyone wanting to make a career in the NFL. Thanks for the memories, Tyler. Some lovely comments there. And hopefully we'll get some more as well. If anyone wants to add them in, by all means, do it. This is mainly a little love in for Tyler Lockett. But with those being cut, shall we look at what the cap looks like before we talk about the DK thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there we go. Mitch, these are numbers and figures. Yeah,
numbers and figures, and a little spreadsheet. Yeah,
it's definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, everyone kind of knows that. Give it a week, and go back a week, and we were a little bit in the red, and we needed to get cap compliant. We didn't do that in a small way. Obviously, we had a little burst of cuts, and some of them were more obvious than others. Although they're all ones that we've discussed at some point. So we started at -7. We're now at 32.5. So we are very much cap compliant. Lockett's cut realised 16 million against the cap. Robertson Harris was 7. Rayshon Jenkins was 6. Draymond Jones freed up 11. Although it's worth caveating that by saying we did eat some dead cap there in a big way. Lockett we did 2, but we were always going to have. Because of the restructuring last year, it was always going to be an awkward one for dead cap. So that's that. And then George Fant realising 3, which leaves us now with 43 million to play with. And any eagle eye will look at those numbers and think, I've lost 3 million along the way somewhere. But it's worth remembering that at this stage of the season, which is obviously early doors, your cap consists of 51 players. And if you cut a player, another player comes up onto the 51. The players that are rising up as we cut players are typically worth about 900,000 to 850,000 against the cap. So with cutting 5 or 6 players, you inevitably end up picking up about 4 million as players sort of replace. So yeah, 32.5 in the black now. Maybe a lineman.
No, John Snyder's not going to pay that much money for a lineman.
Not with 32. I don't know which lineman in the league gets 32. I want to see what he could do. He wants to do the whole thing on his own if he's getting 32.
That's basically a whole new offensive line. It leaves us heavily in the black. And I think what we're going to talk about next as well, with the possibility of it happening, would help us a bit further. As Jonas has quite rightly said, it'll help us more in 2026. I think when you look at those figures, just from purely the business aspect of running a professional sports team, it makes complete sense. You've cut some dead wood, you have got a legend, but at the cap hit versus, I put a video up today on our Instagram and TikTok, that the cap hit versus age and productivity, and where he's sinking further down the depth chart, with that cap hit, you want him to be a number 1 or number 2. He's sort of 3 next season, probably sink down to 4 if we get a younger wide receiver in as well, and so on and so forth. And you can't justify that then. But it's a very healthy way of doing it, I think. What's your preference with that money now? I mean, we've heard that Ernest Jones, what's delaying him from re-signing is the fact that he had knee surgery, didn't he?
I don't think that delays him. I don't think that necessarily delays him signing. It might mean that negotiations go on hold a little bit, but there's nothing like his agents will know the number, the years, the guarantees that he wants. Mm-hmm. His agents will know whether he wants to re-sign or not. The knee surgery will not hamper a deal getting signed or at least agreed. It might mean it delays him coming in and actually putting pen on the paper, but it won't delay those negotiations unless he insists on being present, which would be weird. So I don't buy that. I do think the knee surgery helps us because there will now be some level of medical required before anyone commits to signing him to a deal.
I think
And
this is what the delay is.
And I think we'll
that's
potentially
the
have
delay.
the inside track on that information as well, because we are his most recent club. So I do think that that we'll have the inside track.
Also, if he was injured whilst playing for us, surely I think the club's insurance would pay it. I'm not sure how. I'm an insurance professional, but I have no idea how health insurance in the US works. That is an absolute minefield. But knowing insurance as I do, if you are injured whilst under the employ of someone, their insurance should cover you from the time that you're in their employ. So the Seahawks should be the ones that are paying for his treatment and his surgery, if that's the case. So they will have the inside track because it goes through all their insurance.
When did his contract end and he officially became a free agent? Or is that this week? Because there could be some clever timing on him having that surgery if we're footing the bill. But
yeah, we put the bill and he goes, "Now I'm all right, thanks."
If he's not covered on the insurance, we could at least say, "Hey, come and re-sign. We'll pay for that surgery bill for you."
No, it'll still go through. It'll still carry through whether he is employed or not. But then again, American insurance is an absolute minefield, and I don't wish to go down that rabbit hole just yet.
Sure.
But for me, he's a priority. Gary agrees. EJ Ford needs to be signed. He does. And then we've got Jonas Bosch. Drew Dolman is the best zone blocking center in the NFL. This is an open goal free agent signing, which John will be punting on big time. Hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think it doesn't need to be a splashy free agent signing for our O-line, but it does need to be experience brought into a young room that has tread on the tires. I think Laken Tomlinson, if we'd have got him 2 years ago, we might have had a very different opinion of him. But
he had no tread left on the tires. That was a problem. He was a bald tire.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was. And regarding Jonas's comment about the Geno signing, I think Jonas probably agrees with me when I say this, but the re-signing for Geno is probably going to free up further cap. So, which is an odd thing to say, I know, but the way they structure those deals, it'll be an immediate cap relief with a can to kick down the line with a few get outs if we say pick up a new quarterback that we think can take over. So, although I don't think that happens this year, but that's another conversation. So yeah, the Geno thing, I don't think necessarily.
3 years at the third.
Yeah, I don't think the Geno extension is going to adversely affect that cap number. In fact, I think it probably adds 4 or 5 onto it. But hey,
so I can't wait to go through these at length as well. Yeah, but first we've got a lot of draft content coming out as well, with some fantastic guests coming up, which we'll announce soon. Let's get into the elephant in the room. DK Metcalf, and I don't know why I'm closing my eyes. I'm going to become a meme on our Discord again. I'm not covering my face, I'll tell you that much.
I've enjoyed. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed turning the meme that was created out of you into an emoji in our Discord this week. Just so good.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks
for your sacrifice.
But yeah, anyone who doesn't know what we're on about, by all means, join our Discord, and you can use that emoji for free. It's just me doing this. Oh, my hands over my eyes.
I hope we don't have to use it too much next year, honestly, but I think it will come out at some point.
I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure I'll use it. So, elephant in the room. DK Metcalf has requested a trade. And this has come off the back of a lot of talk during the combine that we were actively shopping him and talking to other teams. It's come up to free agency. Well, free agency looms, a week away? And he's requested this. When you look at the receivers in the market, he is going to be up there as one of the best options for someone to sign. And not a free agent, but as a trade target. But do you know what really, really annoys me about this? 2 things. One, he announced this, or it was leaked, the same day Tyler Lockett was released. He couldn't even give Tyler Lockett the grace to have a day where the Seahawks celebrated him. All of his achievements, the man he was. Instead, it was literally Tyler Lockett's been released. Oh my God, massive panic, furor, the lot. And then less than an hour later, it seemed, DK Metcalf request a trade. Right, so now all the focus has shifted to you. Now, whether that's him who's put it out there or his people, it speaks a lot. But two, with Tyler Lockett not being there, you are the undisputed big boy of that wide receiver room.
Don't know
So
if I agree
what
with
drives? Well, we all know you're wearing
JSN. I think like he got more targets last year, got more yards. Yeah, but he's certainly going to get more targets as a result and play a bigger part if he stays.
Yeah, exactly. And he's now shot himself in the foot by requesting to go to another team. Nobody knows which team. There's loads of them out there that are wide receiver needy. But this has really soured DK Metcalf for me. Because if you were as tight with someone, you turn around to your people or whoever may leak it and go, do not say a thing about this. Once Tyler's been released, I will tell you when, or give him his time in the sun.
But do you know what this struck me as at the time? And clearly I think it doesn't take 200 IQ. It doesn't take a 200 IQ to work out that that the two things are related, right? Like within 30 minutes of Tyler Lockett being released, DK then leaks, or his agency or his party leak that news. For me, everything that people have disliked about DK over the years, and granted that the good stuff has outweighed the bad stuff for me a lot, but the common gripe is he loses his head, he's emotional, he doesn't lead when he'll be the perfect leader until something adverse happens and he loses his head and he lets the team down. This to me screams of him wanting Tyler to stay, and then as soon as Tyler was cut, got angry, threw his toys out the pram, possibly even leaked it himself.
I want to trade as well. Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. I thought he's gone to that front office and gone, if you do not re-sign Tyler or extend him or rework his contract, I am out of here.
Well, it gave him one less reason to stay, right? It gave him one less reason to stay, and I think as long as Tyler, if at the end of the day, if Pete Carroll is still the coach, if Bobby Wagner's still on the roster, if Tyler Lockett's still there, he's got 4 reasons there, and Russ, throw Russ in as well. What have I gone so right?
Pale, pasty white.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm getting abducted by an alien.
Winter, mate. Ginger skin.
Yeah. If Russ and Bobby and Tyler and Pete Carroll are still there, I think he's much more likely to do something slightly more team friendly and kick off a little bit less. That was the last remaining strong connection that he had. And I think that was just a knee-jerk reaction, an emotional reaction, and he's just done that without thinking about Tyler and the way it affects his moment. But that completely sums up what DK has done. We've been ahead in games by a few points, stupid penalty. We've been trailing in a game on a potential game-winning drive, stupid penalty. Games against the 49ers, get dialed in, don't do something stupid. They get under his skin, he does something stupid. It's not a surprise to me that something happened. He acted emotionally and let himself down. We've seen it so much. So, yeah.
Another way of looking at this as well is, and I think it was Rob Staten who talked about it last night, because I was peering through bleary eyes watching his live stream. Some people said this could be a tactic for negotiating a new contract, because they're like, well, you've let Tyler go. Now it's me and JSN and who else? which it could be. It's a very ill-timed and ill-advised way of negotiating that, if I'm being completely honest. But if I'm putting my coach's hat on and I am looking around this team and I'm looking at leaders, and I've just released one of my leaders, which could sour that roster a little bit because of how well respected he was. Then I see another one of my leaders actively going out in public stating, I want away from this team. I want to move to a different team. I do not want to be here anymore. You are not going to keep him, because the discourse that will generate within the roster would not be healthy at all. Because could you imagine, all it's going to take is, we're not trading you, you're here for another year. Then you get moody DK, angry DK, DK that costs you games more often. All it takes is a couple of little comments and conversations away from the training field to his, his colleagues, his fellow players, to start souring them. And then you start seeing just this undercurrent of betrayal and just bile building up towards management, John Schneider, the franchise itself. I think that this, based on this, if I was Mike McDonald, and Mike McDonald has proven that he is not afraid to swing the axe, you're going to go, fine. They've already said they want a first and a third for him. I'd take a second and a wide receiver.
I've had, and it's been for my own entertainment more than anything, I've had a lot of exchanges on social media over the last 2 days with people that are saying, "Oh, we need to get at least a first and a future third, or a first and a whatever." And I've seen that post today from that, not leak. It was like an insider, right? Said we were asking for a first and a third. I've said to a lot of people, we haven't got a hope of getting a third. And some people have replied to me on social media and said, "Oh, look, I was right. The Seahawks are asking for a first and a third. What did you know when you said we'd only get a second or a third for him?" In fact, people in the chat, just put in the chat what you think is a reasonable return that we might get for DK in terms of a pick. Do you think we'll get a first? Do you think it'll be a second? Is it a second?
Like this exercise.
Yeah, I just want to see the consensus from the viewership, because, well, I'll tell you what I think afterwards. I've already hinted at where I'm at with it, but I just think we might struggle because of what DK did with requesting the trade.
You ready? Here we go. Jonas. Oh, no, Richard. Another one came in and pushed Jonas up. So, Richard, I want a decent second. Jonas, early second. Peter, second and a fourth. Jonas, first would be a dream scenario. It would. And then Richard, first next year, maybe. I'll be very honest. I do not think DK Metcalf is a proven first-round wide receiver talent. Look at the impact JSN had as a wide receiver picked in the first round last year. Now, that in a microcosm, where you look at his route running, his catch radius, what he was able to do to defenses, and everyone goes, "Oh, it's because of Decoy Metcalf." That may be, but JSN was so productive that shows his caliber. DK, I think, hasn't shown that fantastic deep threat. A couple of slant balls, but some strong runs. But I don't know if anyone would give a first for him, because there are some absolute mutants coming out of college now.
Yeah. So where I am, DK wants 30 million plus, right? If we would say this happened next year and we'd signed him to a 3-year deal on 31 million or something.
Mm-hmm.
If this happened then and he requested a trade and there were 2 years remaining on that extension, or in fact, it would be 3 years added on to the one he's got. So it would be, if you traded next year, you'd have 3 years to play with on 30 million, which is like top 10 wide receiver money.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get a first and a future third or fourth, right? Because you're trading for someone, you haven't got that risk of having to pay them or them not wanting to stay or whatever. You've got that security with your investment. So suddenly he's worth more. anyone trading for DK Metcalf now, especially if it's not a contender that we trade him to, they've got no guarantees he's going to stay. So there's a huge amount of risk to giving us a first-round pick. Also, they're on the hook for all that money. If we've got him signed to a contract at a number that they're happy with, and we eat a bit of that money because of roster bonuses or whatever has been paid to him, then they get a cheap year, and they've got 2 years at a number that they know already. As soon as you're trading for someone that you have to negotiate with, that player's got leverage because you
instantly. Yeah,
that the player's got all the leverage because the clock's ticking. You've given draft capital for him, and he's got you over a barrel. So the fact that whoever trades for him has to have that conversation with him and doesn't have that guarantee that he's going to play for you for 3 years, no one wants to give you a first. So
the only way we get stung by it as well. We just look at Jamal Adams. We brought Jamal Adams over. He played for a season, was excellent. We extended him. Proof's in the pudding there.
Yeah, and
DK has that pesky spinal injury that's hanging over him still. They don't go away.
We haven't seen that don't go away, my friend. Oh, lost an earphone there. Yeah, I just think that DK's production hasn't been top 50. Well, it's been on average top 15. The money he wants is top 10. You've got no guarantee trading for him that you're going to keep him. The best trade offers we're going to get are going to probably be from teams that aren't necessarily contenders. Contenders aren't necessarily going to be able to pay him what he wants if they need to extend him. So we've got kind of a weird scenario where a bidding war probably doesn't happen because teams that think he'll re-sign for them if they trade for him, they probably won't get a deal done.
Could you imagine that this just be the Russell Wilson effect on DK Metcalf? The grass is greener. He then goes elsewhere thinking he's going to be a superstar. That doesn't transpire. Then they trade him. He goes elsewhere, isn't who he thinks he is there, and just becomes this constant journeyman of what if.
I could see like a Devontae Adams situation developing where goes to a team, gets paid, gets traded because they would a team that thinks they're going to have a good season and contend, and then suddenly they're not, and then they want to move off him and rebuild or distribute that money elsewhere, and then he's traded somewhere else. I could see him not staying at another club for more than 2 years at a time.
He goes to a team with a quarterback that he feels accentuates all the good things, like Russell Wilson. And then that doesn't work out, and Russ ends up leaving DK, and that franchise goes, we don't want a DK Metcalf as he is.
Yeah.
I can't get past this weird feeling that Vegas are going to end up with Russ, Lockett, Bobby, and DK.
That's a 4-13 season. I can see it.
Pete Carroll getting the gang back together, but then it's like, they've just signed Crosby to that massive extension, making him one of the highest paid defensive player in NFL history or whatever. And then
until Myles Garrett gets paid
by whoever's going to take him. And then you look at they bring on, because Gardner Minshew's gone. I'll bring some Minshew mania to Seattle, bring him back. Then they bring in Russell Wilson because I think Justin Fields will be the starter for the Steelers. They go, right, what else do we need? We've got 2 fantastic tight ends. So why don't we jettison one of them in a trade? You can see where I'm going with this because I've seen it all over social media, because I was thinking this and I saw it and I was like, damn it, I knew I should have posted it when I was thinking about it. So we get Mayer and a pick. They get DK Metcalf. And then you get Bobby Wagner, T-Lock. They're just, I can just see it happening. I don't know why. It's like the stars are going to align just to slap us in the face. And then Pete will have great success with that team. And it will kill me. Anyway, what I was going to say before, Jonas, so you've gone from really dark to really light and bright to really pale.
Yeah, I can fix it. There you go.
Oh, that's good. That's better. All right, you with your fancy lighting. Right, so Jonas has said, but don't you think the Seahawks have leverage towards wide receiver needy teams with DK, with the free agents and wide receiver class being a bit mid this year?
I don't know how much it factors in, honestly. I don't know how much it factors in, and I don't know how much it elevates anything. I think the smart strategy for the Seahawks would be to ask for a first and a third, as it sounds like they're doing. Drop the request for a third in negotiation, so we're still asking for a first, and then do like a low round pick swap for this year, like offering like a sixth for a fourth or something. So we move up 2 rounds, or move down 2 rounds and get the first. So it's like not quite a first, but it overall in trade value, but it's not as low as a second. If you see what I mean, like offsetting it, soften, and then that gives us a shot at someone like Golden as a replacement.
Yeah, but then you have to take him early. And then do you want to take him early, or do you want someone who can have more of an impact? So you look at the free agents, wide receivers. So I'll just go through the top ones. Chris Godwin, he's 29, so he's 3 years older than DK. Proven commodity. You've then got Devontae Adams, he's 32, but if you're going to sign him to a cheap enough deal, would you want a Devontae on your team? Amari Cooper, 31. He's also there. Who else have we got? I didn't even realise there were this many people as free agents. Lots of edges. God, Stephon Diggs. If you can deal with the drama,
doing the DiCaprio, like, oh, right there.
Yep.
That's what I think. That's what I think is our wide receiver bridge.
Stephon Diggs, do you think?
He had a good year. Comes in, great shooter. No, he's confident in himself. He reminds me of professional fighters, MMA fighters or boxers that are very much like, it's not necessarily ego, it's like front and confidence in themselves. It's because, and the only reason I see it as that rather than arrogance is he backs it up in his production.
See, you also got middle of the pack, Marquise Brown, Darius Slayton are in there as well. I like a bit of Hollywood Brown. De'Army Brown, oh my God, has he been in the league that long that his rookie contract's run out? Seems like only yesterday I was drafted him in Madden. Yeah, I mean, there are wide receivers out there. If you're a wide receiver needy team, you can get one of those older and equally as productive wide receivers and not have to break the bank for DK. It's kind of what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that means we hold the cards there, to be honest. I'm just still looking through. Elijah Moore's there. I can see Elijah Moore being someone that we could probably go after. Keenan Allen's available.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a curveball in.
Go on.
It's been put in the chat that it's not a great wide receiver year, and I would say that that is true on a lot of levels, but there is a lot of depth at wide receiver. There's wide receiver 2s and 3s all the way through this draft. So you could take a shot at some scheme fits that would work well alongside JSN in this draft, right? Pick up a middle of the pack free agent that's got proven production, right? That makes you 1, 2, 3, and Bobo as your red zone threat, your block, put him out there in run blocking sets, right? But the curveball is with Kubiak's offense. Why not get a genuine receiving tight end threat in this draft, which is also super deep at high quality tight end talent, and use your receiving tight end as that physical mismatch with DBs in your scheme, lots of screens and bubbles and all the little all those kind of things that Kubiak does really well, and get more out of the running backs, get more out of the tight ends to patch up that receiving corps, rather than paying DK or
You're right.
looking for
A
someone who can do
receiving
it.
corpse is what it is now. It's not a core; it's a corpse, because there is literally JSN and Derek Young, Jake Bobo.
I just think that we've not done the tight end thing well just about ever. This offense is going to need receiving tight ends. And whilst my boy Barnett had a great year, he's a super versatile tight end, not necessarily a specialist as a receiver. So it's a great compliment to put someone in there that can be a genuine threat. And Colston Loveland's likely to be there for us when we pick at 18. And because there'll be two tight ends going in the top 2/3 of that first round, there will be great wide receiver options for that in rounds 2, 3, 4. So we don't need to replace Metcalf like for like. And I also don't think he's necessarily a great fit for this offense anyway. So, silver linings?
I love silver lining, you know me. I'm a happy-go-lucky scamp.
Well, look at that. Got a nice agreement there
From Cameron.
Yeah.
There you go, Cam. Agree with Mitch regarding tight end. Just about to comment that this was a Kubiak feature. Yeah, it's there are options. There's not all doom and gloom. I know a lot of people have gone straight to the corner and cried over the fact DK Metcalf might not be a Seahawk. I am not one of them, because it all depends on scheme, all depends on who you're going to get the best out of within a scheme. I would rather have a functional team of middling players that get results than have a team of players that are propped up by a superstar but then can't play as a team. So it's fantastic having this shining light, but then when everyone else on the team has to try and play that person's game, they all go and tank. I'd rather us go for these middle-of-the-road players like Kubiak goes, I can work with that, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, and then have some success. Whether it's exciting or not is a different matter. So what we're going to do very quickly, let's go through some of the comments that you guys have chucked in before we sign off, and we'll tell you what we've got coming up throughout the rest of the off-season. First off, Jonas with a bit of spite. Love to see DK going to Denver and tanking like Russ with the Broncos.
Amen.
Stick it in and twist it. Why not? Rich has gone. Christian Kirk is off to the Texans, so that's them out of the equation. I'd still trying to find the buzz for Christian Kirk. I've got a Jags fan who was like, "We're getting Christian Kirk." I was like, "So, what's he done?" Jonas again, getting the 2026 first rounder with a stacked QB class would be ace. 2 firsts in 2026. That would be lovely. Jonas, you are on it tonight as well. And there you go. With JSN on the team, you don't need a wide receiver 1. Just need a vet wide receiver 2 and a young, cheap wide receiver 3 in the draft plus Bobo. There you go.
Agree.
I'm not putting more of your comments up, Jonas. You're monopolising this. You can just come back on.
He just wants the limelight. It's like DK.
It does, doesn't it?
It's just all about the attention.
Honestly, we've come on here to shine a light on like the Seahawks, and Jonas is just monopolising this whole podcast.
Hey, leave him alone. They were all good comments. They were all good comments.
Yeah. All right, we'll give you the last ones as well. Getting a second for DK and Mayer free. Hang on. From the Raiders, would solve the tight end issue towards the draft. It would.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the last thing I'm reading out from you. Cam, love Texas tight end Gunnar Helm. Despite a meh combine, he stretches the field and has brilliant hands. And then finally, Gary, use what we get to build on the strength of the team and add to defense. Couldn't agree more. So with that, I think we've covered quite a lot of bases there. Let's just very quickly tell you what we've got coming up. So on Sunday, Mitch and I are going to be back on. going back onto the draft cycle. So this will be the last one with just me and Mitch. We've got some fantastic guests coming up as well. So we're going to be who will be on the Seahawks radar when it comes to the draft. This will be a very Mitch heavy pod. So any of you draft nerds out there, your draft nerd king will be holding a seminar for you.
Hello.
And I'll be sitting here asking questions and writing notes about who I need to watch. We've then got some fantastic guests coming up. So these are people that have been on here before. You know them. We love them as well. So we've got Dan Viens of Seahawks Forever. We've got Bryce from the Hawks on Rundown lined up. We've got Rob Staten's going to come back on. We've got an episode with some of our Discord members that are all going to get together as well just before the draft. We've got Jackson Bevans who's going to come on. We've got our friend Charlie Wilson who's going to come back on as well. We love having Charlie on as well. And we've got to then desperately try and remember which newspaper it is he works for. Is it the Telegraph?
Every time,
is
dude.
it the
Express? Josh, I love you, mate, and I love doing the pod with you. But when it comes to remembering which paper Charlie Wilson works for or pointing in a direction, you are useless.
Do you know what it is? I know it's the Express, right? But in my mind, I've gone, it's not the Telegraph. It's not the Telegraph, to the point where it's gone full circle and my brain just goes, it's the Telegraph.
It's the Telegraph.
I'm like, it's not. And I know this. But yeah, we've got draft content coming up every week up to the draft, where much like last year, we will probably hold a draft watch party through our Discord, have some chats with people, get on the Voice Live. We may even, Mitch, we could just do a live reaction pod. Who knows? If we start watching it anyway. Ooh, I know. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone for joining in. We love doing these live pods with you guys and getting all of your input, because that's what we're here for. And we want to try and get more of you guys to come on here as well. If you do want to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell and share. And Mitch is laughing at a comment that's probably just come up, but I can't see it because I'm doing the rest of these bits. That would be really appreciated. It really helps the algorithm. I said we are the UK Seahawkers official podcast. You can meet us in Glasgow in May, and we will happily chat to you about Seahawks until the early hours. If you want to talk Seahawks with us and other members of the comments and the Discord, you can join. Oh, damn it! It's because you said my pointing was doing well. There you go. You can join the Discord.
Unsurprised face. I just
point at the mic. There you go. King of the Discord is right there. The link is all in the chat. It's our pin post and our X, and with that you can follow us on most social media. Just search at 12 Talk Pod. And because mock draft season is well and truly underway, we're going to be using Walk the Mock, and you can too. If you want to sign up for the full version of Walk the Mock, you can use code 12 Talk. I believe it's 10 or 20% off. I can double check it in a minute, but yeah, make sure you should know this. You're our draft expert.
You get a lovely little discount.
You do.
Don't need to be specific.
So we don't get done for false advertising. You get 20% off. There we go. I've got a little note. It tells me. Ever professional us. You can tell we're not for profit and not trying to make money out of this, can't you? It is what it is. You get 20%, and it's a fantastic mock draft engine. We'll be using it all the way through the sort of run up to the draft. You guys can join us as well in the comments, in the Discord. We love having you guys here. I've waited on far too long. It is getting late. I have work tomorrow, and Mitch, I get to see you again on Sunday, and hopefully we get to see the majority of the people in our comments. I am reading all of these when we go off air, because I can see people are probably taking the rip out of us.
No. Just people saying they really enjoyed the show. It's lovely, actually.
Thank you very much, everyone. And just a quick one from anyone travelling to Glasgow for the UK Seahawkers meetup. From Cam, public service announcement, might be train disruption weekend of the Seahawkers meet in Glasgow. Doesn't matter. I'm flying.
And absolutely no one was shocked about that either.
Yeah. No. But I mean, with that, from me, from Mitch, pointing the right way, we're going to end this with a Go Hawks, and we will see you all on Sunday, 9 p.m. And let's go do some draft stuff. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.